Hello again and welcome to my channel. And today we're going to be answering another request. A member asked me about my opinion on Studer A807. How do I like it? What's so special about this unit? What's not so special, maybe? So here I will try to cover some of the features of that particular machine. And to be honest, it's a machine that's very easy to like. It's gorgeous and it works very, very well. However, like most in life, it comes with some issues attached on top of its benefits and beautiful features, and we will try to examine some of them. As you can see, it is indeed a beautiful machine, extremely well finished, perfectly organized. Its front panel, it's a beauty. It handles well, it's got very great tape handling capability, although probably not the same as its big brother, which we're going to bring in the picture here. And it makes a lot of sense to discuss the A807 vis-a-vis its bigger and more well-known brother A810. The two machines have a lot of general ideas in common, but they also differ in many, many ways. And I'll try to cover those particular ways. The Studer A810 has been one of the standards in the high-end audio industry, and for a very, very good reason. It is one of those packages that come very close to be quote-unquote ideal packages. And while the recording industry generally did not take it very well, because it was always considered to be a professional light machine, if you will, but it still commanded a lot of respect. And one of the results of that is a huge number of those machines on the market in all kinds of conditions, from parts only to beautiful, almost mint condition machines. And its prices also are substantially high, reflecting its quality and desirability. Arguably, one of the weak spots of the A810 was its fairly high price. And naturally, customers wanted something a little bit more affordable. Affordable, but without losing the main beauty, the main capabilities, and the main qualities of the A810. And sure enough, Studer listened to those requests. And in few years, they introduced the A807. To cut to the chase, the A807, number one, it is the next generation machine, which means some improvements in several areas, but most importantly, it was also less expensive machine. And if you start looking at this machine very closely, you will realize that it is indeed the case. The first impression you're going to get is by lifting the two machines. The A807 is substantially lighter. That's going to be the first impression. The second impression is something is a little bit beefier and more substantial about the A810, not just in terms of the weight, but in terms of its large knobs, its 4 tension rollers as opposed to 2 on A807, and just larger tape counter. The push buttons are always larger, and it projects that image of more brutality, more power, if you will, right away. The 807 has everything done to, you can easily say, more elegant way. The controls are smaller, the tape counter digits are also less tall, but it has more functions on the front panel. And that reflects its new generation coming. Because between the two models, the Studer engineers have done a lot of improvement in the area of microprocessor control. So the 807 collects a lot of those features and introduces them in a very nice package. And notice, I keep saying very, very nice because it's a lovable machine. Even though I don't use mine very much, I still respect its shape, its operation, its smoothness, and just the beauty. The 807 is definitely more beautiful, in the same way as later generation BMW or Mercedes-Benz car would look a little bit more modern and more beautiful than the one of 10 years prior. That's normal, and that's to be expected from any serious company. But since the beauty is only skin deep, let's examine some of the internal structure features of those two machines to understand their main differences. And we can begin with very well-known architecture of the 810 with its two large and two small rollers that form the tension control system, tape tension control system. It basically breaks into two portions. The left portion is from the pinch roller all the way to the supply reel. And the right side is from the pinch roller to the take-up reel. And if you know a little bit about the general tape machines topologies, you would know that those two can be handled slightly differently. The one on the left is very, very critical because it affects the way the tape contacts the tape heads. Anything between the pinch roller and the larger roller on the left will affect the tape contact. Things are slightly different on the right because the tape to heads contact is now to some degree isolated from any fluctuations of the tape tension that might be happening on the right side. And that's exactly what the engineers took advantage of. Since one of the main objectives of A807 design was reducing the cost, naturally the cost of tension control system came to mind. It is a very expensive subsystem. It consists of quite a few parts, and there is a great deal of cost there. So naturally the question was, can we get rid of that right-hand side tension system? And they decided to do it. By that time, their microprocessor control was much more advanced, and they felt they could do credible, and I would say again, credible, not perfect, but credible job without the tension control with its sensor and rollers. Well, that's a claim. And if you read their promotional information, they make big deal out of that advanced feature, saying that microprocessor, by virtue of reading different parameters and calculating more parameters, can perfectly control the tension without any feedback. Well, I don't buy that claim. Essentially, you're talking here about the open loop control versus closed loop control on the 810. And pretty much never an open loop control can be made as perfect as a closed loop control. Yes, you can make some predictive calculations based on the torque, the diameter of your reel, or diameter of the tape pack, actually, which you know because you know the tape speed and you know the rotational velocity of the reel, so you can calculate all those parameters. And based on them, you can look into your lookup table and find the line corresponding to the proper torque for that particular situation. No, it's not going to be as perfect as it is if it's measured by the sensor, like on 810, but it gets you in the ballpark. And since, as I mentioned before, the right-hand side system is isolated by the pressure roller or pinch roller, you can get away with that. Is it perfect? No. Is it very workable and acceptable? I would say definitely yes. So that was a great breakthrough in the design of A807 that allows them to save quite a bit of cost. However, almost nothing in life is free, and in this particular case, they lost one feature that every 810 customer considers very valuable. And I'm talking, of course, about the ability to bypass the head block when rewinding the tape, which is present on the 810. Is it really important? Some people feel it is, because it lets you to avoid scraping tape against stationary pushers, like it is very common on many other fine machines. As you can see, the tape rides way above the head block, therefore it's only in contact with rotational parts. Yes, it definitely reduces the stress on the tape, but like I said, this is not a universally accepted notion. A lot of very fine companies, including things like Ampex, Otari, Telefunken, Sony, they do it more traditional way. However, since it is important to some aficionados, those people considered the tape path on the 807 inferior in that regard. As you can see, it's not possible to do that on the 807 for the reason that you cannot go around the block. There is no roller here that would allow you to do that. Important, not, that's up to you to decide. Obviously, in a quest to reduce the cost, the designers had to look at the whole package. And the internal electronics was one area where they made very significant difference. As most of you probably know, the 810 electronics are very modular. The 810 is really a marvel of engineering. You can open this cover and you get perfect access to plug-in cards. There are individual cards for left and right channel, there are some control cards, and so on. Why is it so beautiful? Well, it allows, for once, it allows for very easy troubleshooting. In one of my cases, the machine stopped working. One output was dead, and all it took basically a simple replacement or swap of output cards to figure out what it was and to make it working again in just a couple minutes. Nothing like that is possible in case of 807 because its structure is, it's not modular. Okay, it has the audio card for left channel and audio card for the right channel, but those are very large cards. They're not like Studer 810 postcard size cards that you can easily pull out, replace, and easily repair on your bench. For instance, such a nice small format allows you for easy modifications of the card on your bench. You can replace capacitors with the type of your choice and so on. It is definitely harder in the 807. Can be done, but it is much less convenient. And also in case of 810, you can upgrade those cards. For example, the standard output card is a transformer-based circuit. And some people believe that transformer-less cards do sound better, in which case you just replace the output card. You see those yellow cards on the left and right? Those are transformer-less output cards. You do it in a matter of a couple minutes. Yes, you have to correctly set some dip switches, but it's a very simple procedure overall. So in general, from the standpoint of the service, 810 definitely is superior, in my view. I'm not going to force my view on anybody, but I feel that way. As far as I know, the same tape heads are available on both machines. The 810s I have, they both unfortunately have the butterfly heads, which I don't like, but they're there. The 807 you see here has the straight, narrow blocks heads. So potentially, at least in my view, they should be offering superior sound. To make it short, I don't think that's happening. Overall, I think the sound of the 807 is not as good as what you can get from the stock, largely unmodified 810. I think it's a bit muffled comparing to the 810. What exactly is responsible for that, I don't know, but that seemed to be my very strong impression. And as a result, this particular nearly mint 807 is largely sitting unused in my collection. Yes, I played a little bit of time, sometimes, simply because I like it so much. I love its smooth controls. It's just a pleasure to press those buttons. But overall, it's not my go-to machine to play music. As I mentioned, since 807 comes from a later period of microprocessor control, there are some features on this fine machine that you don't find on the 810. Both machines have front panel push button or keyboard calibration, which is very easy to do. On the 810 you press one button and you enter this routine. On the 807 you have to put small pin into this hole and press, and then your system switches into the calibration mode. It's just as easy. As you can see, there are some very nice controls here. Again, that's result of very advanced microprocessor. And you have some very advanced features here, You definitely have slow wind. That's pretty much given. But you also have this funny feature. Yes, it will play backwards. Not many machines will do that. Why do you need it? I guess it's very important when you're doing editing. For typical audiophile type of home use, I don't think that's important. But it gives you some bragging rights when your friends stop by. There is very advanced shuttle mode as well. So overall, it is a great editor's machine. And you can see the tape marker. Obviously, there is a tape cutter and so on. It's a very nice machine, no question about it. I really wish its sound was a little bit more clear, a little bit more transparent. And with that in mind, let's go back to the beginning of this record and play it. I thank you so much again for stopping by and hope to see you next time. So this is a brief story of this definitely very, very nice machine. And with all my reservations, I'm still not against somebody purchasing this machine as his main mean of tape reproduction. Yes, it falls a little bit short of my expectations, but there are a couple of points here. Number one, my expectations are just my expectations. Yours may be very different, and what I find a drawback, you may consider a beautiful sound. So that's quite possible. And the second thing here is, how do I know this particular machine is representative of the complete A807 population? And the answer is I don't. I only have one machine. I listened to another one in another location, and that was kind of similar, but that's not enough to draw totally meaningful comparison. Another point here is, if you take two different machines of the same model, made maybe a few months apart, few years apart, or maybe even close together, are they going to sound the same? No, you don't expect that. There will be some minor differences. And one last question. How do we know this machine is working as it should?